Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's board meeting. I'd like to call our regular meeting to order. Thank you, Melanie. A recording and or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. I will now take the roll. Ryan? Vladimir?
Yep. Here.
Calling him Steve. I'm so sorry. Jim is here. Stella here. And I, Shelley Sirke, am here. I'm sorry.
I think it works.
Steve, would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's agenda?
The pledge.
Oh, gosh, sorry. Sorry, thank you. Do we have any students who'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
We have Adeline and Helena.
Yeah,
Thank you tonight. They're gonna lead us in the flag salute.
please.
Flag, put your right hand over your heart and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Now would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's agenda? No? Okay. Then may I please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. All right. I wrote an S and I fucked it up. Motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented was made by Vladimir and seconded by Jim. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Closed session report. After tonight's open session, the trustees will reconvene to closed session and then report out afterwards. Superintendent's update.
Sure, a few things to share. I don't know if anyone else had an opportunity, but I was invited, as were you all, and was able to attend the Algebra Inclusion Project over at Egan Friday. I just attended one of the periods in Miss Venus classroom, and it was really fun. I probably talked to 5 or 6 students about how they have used math to redesign the classroom in a more inclusive way. And it was really fun to hear them talk about their expanded understanding of inclusion, both at school and around our community. They were able to highlight places that they're seeing in our community that could be more inclusive to people with disabilities or people who might have some different needs. So that was really wonderful. I always love being able to talk to kids about their projects. Wanted to thank our PTA and LAF leadership. We have been meeting all year long, once a month on Fridays in a collaborative group, really to figure out how we can build a stronger partnership and kind of create an We Are LASD identity. You've seen this on a lot of the t-shirts and what have you out and about. And so that idea really came from this leadership group on campus. And so we've been making great progress this year. Hope to continue to see that progress next year with both building that LASD identity and helping all of the groups reach their fundraising goals for the year next year. So we're working on more collaboration than we've had in the past around these ideas, which is wonderful. I had the great privilege of riding in a fancy car at the pet parade on Saturday, and it was really fun. I saw pigs, maybe one pig, not plural, one pig, goldfish in a bowl, lots of dogs and cats. It was really wonderful, and wanted to thank Pepe Yu and Jenny Peck once again for organizing all of the schools in this We Are LASD. We had a great big banner in the front, and then all of the schools. I saw Mentor Tutor Connection also back there. Pat, you were leading that charge, but it's always a really fun event, and I love to see our kids there with their pets and crazy costumes, and it's just a fun community event like no other. And our Egan kids played their instruments, which was fun too, marching along. What else do I want to say? Eric received a really nice note from Dan Rich from CSA. They recently had their ribbon cutting for the new community services agency. And so just wanted to thank the board and LASD for helping them in their transition process. You know, they used the old Joann's fabrics as their temporary housing, but they're back and open and able to serve families across our community, which is wonderful. This Thursday, we have our last round of open houses, Oak, Loyola, and Santa Rita. So if you're available, you're going to go to Oak. So, if you're available, wonderful. They always love to see you there. We also have the Egan concert this Thursday after open houses. And then next Tuesday and Wednesday, our block group musicians are performing next week. And a little sneak peek, Block was at Disneyland this past weekend, and I believe they did very well. And they may have won the whole shebang once again. So I will ask Mr. Spinator for the details, but I know they did very well. And Mr. Lewis runs an exceptional music program over at Block. And lastly, a reminder that Monday is Memorial Day, which I just kind of realized on Friday. So this Monday is Memorial Day and our schools will be closed in observance of that. I think that is my list. Coming to a quick close.
Thank you. May is a busy month.
May is a very busy month.
Thank you. All righty. We're gonna move on to literally the best part of our meetings, our school presentations, and we're so happy that we have Covington here tonight.
Yes,
Do I need to go up there?
sure. That would be great.
Good evening, Board of Trustees
Good evening.
and our esteemed cabinet. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Kevin Armstrong, Principal of Covington. I'm not the most important here, most important person here tonight. It's these two young ladies who are going to present to you. As you know, you've seen lots of examples of deeper learning throughout our presentations, right? And so one of the things that we decided to work on last year and sort of take a risk in trying this out was this Defense of Learning project, which now has been renamed to Reflection of Personal Growth. We know that deeper learning is an incredible piece, and our C&I department has done a wonderful job of supporting teachers and students with this. But we want kids to leave our sixth grade class, moving to middle school and so on, thinking about themselves as learners. And so that's really what this project is about. And so thankfully, Mr. Stewart and Ms. McGinnis have taken on this work as well for this year. So I'm going to hand it over to them and let them talk about what it looks like currently. And then you're going to hear our kiddos talk about it. Thank you so much for having us. All right, you guys are up.
So in this project, students are asked to respond to the driving question, how has your experience at Covington shaped you as a learner? And so they work in a group and they plan and deliver a presentation to a review panel at the end of the year, comprised of typically one of the sixth grade teachers, either Ms. McGinnis or myself, a mentor teacher and a peer mentor, both of which they self-select at the beginning of the process.
And we have learning behaviors over here from our wheel that we connect back to what we do with the panel. Additionally, the panel confers and they have a presentation and a debrief so that students can kind of get that feedback. And this will determine whether they pass with distinction or if they need to resubmit. Jason, do you want to take the top tip?
Yeah, so I think, it provides students with an authentic task related to our LASD student experience and our emphasis on deeper learning. And I think one of the major goals is to increase student reflection on themselves and their learning growth over time, both as students and outside of the classroom as well.
And we see this a lot in their presentations. They're going to incorporate things that happen outside of their world in school, but also inside. So it's nice to see those two things bridge. So you're really working with like everything that the child is going through at that particular time. The really great thing about this project coming into it, this is the second year for Covington, but coming on board, I really appreciated like the student voice and choice. And so we've taken that and we really embedded that with a couple different things. The first being environments that are filled with safety. We really want kids to be brave, take a chance, tell us really what's going on in their life or whether they're dealing with things that we may not know about, which has been really great to see that like super honest reaction from kids of like, yeah, I am dealing with this and I'm moving beyond it. The other really great thing I enjoyed was the positive developmental relationships that connects directly back to the teacher mentors. You're gonna have a student, Helena, talk to you about that. Actually, both of our students were working with this teacher mentor, and they've really grown from this experience as well. And it's been great to have the kids reconnect with teachers they might have had in the past.
That's great. So I think we'd like to welcome Helena to come kind of share the mentor experience, and Catalia will share her project that she created.
Hello, my name is Elena Hong, and I would like to explain how having a teacher mentor helped me in the process of creating my Reflection of Personal Growth project. Before I begin, I would like to thank my teacher mentor, Mrs. Masse, and my sixth grade teachers, Mr. Stewart and Ms. McGinnis, for choosing me to do this speech. Mrs. Masse was a really supportive teacher last year, and I chose her because I felt like she would be able to support me with my project by helping me through the process of writing a script and making a slideshow. Having a teacher mentor who knows me as a person has taught me before was helpful because she was able to guide me through the process and give me suggestions on what I should put in my script. She helped me proofread my script and practice my presentation. She also helped me incorporate personal details into my project. For example, I have been in Covington leadership for 2 years now, which Ms. Masse helps run. Mrs. Masse has guided me through various project and leadership activities where she has helped me grow. She reminded me to include personal examples of my chosen learning behaviors, such as respect. Like when I play sports, I need to show respect towards my teammates and the opposing team. Carla Sanislo Pereira, who was my peer mentor for this project, also helped me in the process. She helped me make sure the script makes sense and added things that she thought would add depth to the project. Now she will present her Reflection of Personal Growth project.
Me too, I'll click it and then I'll change the thing for you.
I think that also does.
On there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Catalia Sanislo Pereira, and this is my Reflection of Personal Growth project. The topics I believe that I have grown in are contributing to discussions and solving challenging problems. Some of my favorite hobbies that I've shown some of these learning behaviors in are math, karate, and basketball. The first learning behavior I'm going to talk about is contributing to discussion. To start, in 4th grade, Miss Evenhouse's class, I wasn't very good at sharing my ideas with the class or taking feedback from Miss Evenhouse. When she gave me a 3 on one of my writing assignments, I didn't ask her for feedback or ask her what I can do to get a better grade next time. Fast forward to 5th grade, I started sharing my ideas a bit more, but I also started to ask what I could do better on my work. Even though I asked for feedback, I wouldn't completely apply this to my assignment. But now, in 6th grade, the first trimester, I got a 3 on one of my writing assignments. The next day at school, I immediately asked Miss McGinnis for feedback on what I can do better on my next piece of writing. In the trimester to follow, I applied the feedback and ended up receiving a 4. Not only did I improve on contributing to discussions in school, but I also did in my extra math class. This year, at RSM, Russian School of Math, I was nervous to speak up and share my answers. I didn't feel comfortable with so many new people that might laugh if I got a question wrong. Each week, my teacher, Mr. Basso, would call on people to answer questions as he tried to push myself and others out of their comfort zone. As I was answering questions and getting them correct, I realized how low my confidence was and how much I second-guessed myself. To this day, I am still building my confidence and not worrying if I make a small mistake. Now let's move on to solving challenging problems. Ever since I started elementary school, I put pressure on myself to do better and to be perfect. As I climbed up the grades, the pressure kept increasing. Each day, I tried to hide who I was, and I didn't have as much fun in school because I set an expectation for myself that was impossible to reach. With all these expectations I set for myself, I wasn't able to enjoy school and other activities to the fullest. I never noticed all the weight I had been putting on myself until this year on our way back from our sixth grade while in West Trip. My teacher, Miss McGinnis, made me realize how hard I was on myself, and when we talked on the bus ride home. That was the moment when I noticed how much I kept to myself and how many emotions I kept in. There on that bus ride was when all the emotions that had piled up inside for years came spilling out. My shoulders felt 10 times lighter now that I cried it out and finally talked to someone about it. Right now, I am still working on trying not to hide my emotions from everyone and not setting impossible expectations for myself, but I'm continuing to work on these skills. A lot of these learning behaviors could play a role in my future. For example, contributing to discussions can be very helpful when I'm working with peers or colleagues. Sharing my ideas could be very helpful to the group and help accomplish different tasks. This learning behavior could also be useful in middle school and high school when I need to ask for feedback on an assignment. Another example would be how solving challenging problems can play a role in my future. When I go to middle school and high school, I'm going to have to meet the expectations of not only 2 teachers, but 7 different ones. This will be a challenge that I will need to overcome to grow as a learner. Solving challenging problems could also apply to things when I get a job. Solving problems with colleagues and other people will be a big hurdle, but because I already have practice solving challenging problems and coming up with compromises and solutions, this will come easier to me. Lastly, I will reflect on my journey as a learner. I believe that I've grown not only as a learner, but as a person that can express their emotions and realize how much pressure they were putting on themselves. I also believe that my journey as a learner has shaped who I am as a person and how I will continue to live through life. By taking this time to reflect on this wild ride starting in kindergarten, I realized that I need to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone and trying not to hide my emotions from it. I want to thank Ms. McGinnis and Mr. Stewart for helping me through 6th grade. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Armstrong for supporting not only me, but everyone on this campus as much as he can. Finally, I would also like to thank all my past teachers and my past principal, Mr. Spinator, for shaping who I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. That's awesome. This is their first time running through it, and they have, when is your final presentation? Is it this Friday or next week? Wednesday, next Wednesday. So, yeah, fantastic. I think you're very prepared. So I think it's still a work in progress. I think this is our 2nd year doing this. One takeaway from last year was really kind of putting more effort into building out the opportunities for working with teacher mentors. So giving teachers a little more input on what we were trying to accomplish and what was expected of their meetings with the students. And then just starting earlier in the year to allow more time for meetings with those mentor teachers to build a genuine relationship that they could, so that they could work more effectively together as a team. I think going forward next year, we're looking at improving the reflection piece. We started at the beginning of 3rd trimester this year. So I think next year we're thinking of planning where students will maintain a portfolio from the beginning of the year and throughout the year of work samples, but really building in that reflection component to where every work sample that they select contains a reflection, focusing on their growth as learners, both inside and outside of the classroom, so that when we get to the end of the year, they have plenty of examples already kind of selected and gathered that they could go through when planning this presentation.
And we're hoping that they can do this reflection process, maybe not the entire project, we'll wait for that for 6th grade, but the reflection process in 4th and 5th grade, so that by the time they get to 6th grade, they've already gone through some of these cycles and they know some of these learning behaviors already, and they're not having to look through a sheet and wonder like, which one should I choose, and getting feedback from them. We want that to be authentic from them. And I feel like we achieved that this year, but we want them to really get into the routine of it.
Yeah, we are seeing some interest in the other staff also that have really enjoyed the process of seeing their students that have already moved on come back to them and kind of see how much they've grown. So we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the teacher mentors and wanting to kind of increase their reflection practice too. So we're really excited for that. Any questions? Yes.
Does every student have a mentor?
Yes.
Mhm.
Every student has a mentor and they also have peer mentors. They either have 1 or they have 2.
Yeah, and some students select past teachers, some students want somebody new and they select sometimes district staff or secretaries or different people on campus. And so it's really neat to see all the kids team up with different types of people for different reasons and kind of develop relationships.
Yeah, they were really excited about that component. So we had several students that sought out somebody from outside of our school. And so Sarah Gerlinger was overwhelmed or inundated with students saying like, please give us feedback.
2 years in a row, Sarah.
She's been fantastic and the kids have really enjoyed that experience. So it's been nice for them because they really wanted to step out of the bubble of Covington and get feedback from somebody new. And that's been a really overwhelming positive experience for these kiddos.
Yeah, some of them even requested Terry Pomposo, who retired and came back just to do the
Yes.
project. So that was kind of funny too.
Yes, and we've also included like other staff as well. So there was a lot of requests for our school librarian, Mara Starkey, and then also our principal, Mr. Armstrong. So I feel like the kids in general are seeking out these people on campus, and now they're identifying them through the project as someone they could see later as a mentor or a role model, which has been really great.
Any other comments? I love how you've structured this so that it it ties back to the portrait of the learner and the LASD student experience. I feel like it's like a very practical, like, it all sounds very theoretical, right? The student experience and but this is like a very practical application of it. And I'm so proud of you both. You guys did a great job. I know it's not easy presenting in front of your board, but we are here to serve you, and I'm so happy to see like how you're doing this. The level of self-awareness that I heard in Catalyzed speech was just really amazing. I could see you like, 4 years from now, 8 years, 10 years from now, like that's just gonna really serve you well. So thank you so much. Thank you for your bravery and your honesty. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's consent calendar? No. Okay, then may I please have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve tonight's consent calendar as presented was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Right, moving on to employee requests to address the board for the Los Altos Teachers Association, Allison White. Oh, hello.
Nice to see you again. As we get to the end of the year, I was thinking about the way to kind of encapsulate, I think for teachers, we all in different roles experience the same rhythm to the school year. It's such a unique thing compared to, I think, working in the private sector. And there's the moods that are coming over teachers right now, celebratory, right? We're close, exhausted. Right? Can I get a few more things done that I want to get done with kids? Have I reached the students that I wanted to reach to the extent that I wanted to reach them? Have I helped children and families in the way that I thought I could at the beginning of the year? And what I realized is that it was kind of landing on what's the mood that really resonates. It doesn't happen yet, but it will come as we hit that summer pause for teachers. And that's really what I want to kind of convey is this invisible work that's going to go on over the summer. It's not necessarily something anyone is going to see, but it resonates so much with the presentation you just heard. It's a reflective mood. And I think all of us that are in classrooms every year, we have this privilege of getting to pour our heart and soul into the best work that we can do with our students. And then there's an endpoint, a stop, and we get to do it again the next year, but with that time of reflection. What went well? What was the struggle? What did some students struggle with? But more importantly, why? It's the why that's so important to think as you reflect, as we reflect over the summer, what made that successful? What things were surprising to me? And I just think, I don't even think teachers talk to each other about this, but it goes on. It goes on when they're hiking. It goes on when they are, potentially traveling or just hanging out at home. So I think that quieter, invisible work that we all don't see is really what allows teachers to not only recharge their battery, to come back ready to learn their new students and bring a new set of goals to make a difference for those kids. So I want you to know that as we get to the end here, I think we're almost down to single digit days, maybe 2 more days, that we're all excited to bring the year to a close with our students and send them off. But in that same ending, we're already getting ready for the new beginning. It is definitely a continuous cycle. And we bring everything with us each year and think a little bit more about how can I take what I learned about students last year and bring it to the next group of kids. So that's just a little kind of thought, the way I think teachers are thinking right now that I wanted to share with you, and thank you for your attention. I'm going to pivot with Mrs. McGonagall's permission. When I met you last, I guess it was March 3rd, when my little two hairs came and presented their deeper learning inquiry project, I had said we would communicate with you about what happened next. And so it has been an ongoing, as I laid out for you. And I'll explain, Sandra will have this in her office, but it's interactive writing, which means students are, for TK students, they're beginning some letter formation in a way that is applied to an actual communication piece. Obviously I did the spelling. So at this level, I'm doing the spelling for them, but they're doing the letter. We draft the sentences together. So we said, dear trustees and Mrs. McGonigal, it has been a busy spring, in the eagle's nest. 3 chicks hatched, but 1 died in a snowstorm. Very sad. At first, the chicks were white, then they turned gray. Now they have brown feathers. Their names are Sunny and Gizmo. Love the TK class at Oak, and our little PS is their wingspan is almost 6 feet. Which,
Wait, now? What?
yes. So the research that continues follows their questions. So
That's shocking.
it is amazing. And I'm so excited. I love this. Please come to our classroom. We're happy to tell you more. But yes, so we have been doing more research. What their questions have not stopped. And we were all amazed. So this tied in nicely with measurement unit, right? So we get the tape measure out. What does that look like? So anyway, so I'm gonna get some student art down here and then some actual photographs. I will give that to you. Here.
Thank you
I'm
so
happy
much
to
for
have the
sharing
return.
that.
Yes, they have, it really was enjoyable for them to come and speak with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you also for hosting me at the rep council meeting. I will mention that in my board comments, but I wanted to thank you. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
right, from the California School Employees Association, no, nothing to get. All right, thanks, kid. All righty. To provide public comment on an agenda item, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment begins. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. We have community comments. This time is reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. Looks like tonight we have one person, Demetria Bell. Demetria, will give you 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. So I'm actually here tonight as a parent of a 6th grader. I think you may remember me from a month ago. I had shared some concerns about my son who's on the wait list at Egan. I'm just following up on my public comment and also an email I sent you guys today. So I do urge the board to clearly communicate how this is going to be handled and how you plan to resolve this equitably. I've received no further communication about this, and it's extremely frustrating. I'd like to try to have direct communication, happen to meet with anyone in person, just have some clarity on how this is being handled. I was a little shocked today to hear that friend of mine who's submitted their registration the first day they were eligible back in the fall, and they were put immediately on the wait list. So it just seems a little shocking that a lot of the non-LASD kids are on this wait list. And it seems extremely unfair. So I would appreciate somebody to follow up with me so I don't have to escalate this further. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, on to action and discussion items. Special education update.
Oh.
Start with another one?
No, for the next time.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Good evening, board members, superintendent. I brought some friends today. So Christina Murata, our special education coordinator, and Erin Griswold, who is our Los Altos Behavior Services Labs new behaviorist, and she's a board certified behaviorist. So for this update, so you guys want to stand? You can sit until it's your turn. For this update, we're choosing to focus on one aspect of schooling that just kind of infiltrates everywhere, and student behavior. Maybe it's because we have 12 days left, and maybe it's because it's the emails I get all the time, but we want to share with you a little bit about student behaviors. And I'm sure you've heard with teachers, superintendent, and even through negotiating, that this is a concern for all. Right? But I wanted to let you know that we are not alone. Since the pandemic, we have seen an increase of challenging behaviors at schools, especially in our younger grades, TK through first grade. This is a trend seen across our nation. I think Ed Week just did a poll, they recently showed in 2000, I think January 24 came out with a study, thousands upon thousands of educators. Half of about 48% of the educators said that they'd seen an increase, a dramatic increase of behaviors in their classrooms than in 2019. And so if you take that for Los Altos, it means 1 out of every 2 of our teachers have seen an increase in behaviors in their classrooms, and that's quite a lot. We know our youngest population is our most vulnerable. On a side note, even for students who have been identified with a disability early in life, we are seeing longer wait times for them to receive early intervention. And that is not necessarily the population that I'm talking about. This is for everyone, but that is a subset that in the past, prior to the pandemic, students who have been identified early with autism might have come in with a pretty robust program. We are seeing families telling us they're on wait list for quite a long time, so that does impact their access. Another thing that we have seen a big change in is adverse childhood experiences. I don't know if this is a term that you guys have heard. I'm sure before, but really what it is a potentially traumatic event that happens anytime between birth to 17 years. And these are a range of experiences that kids can have, and it affects all aspects of their life and their social, emotional, developmental, and even physical health. This could be abuse, neglect, and inconsistent parenting due to mental illness of the parent, maybe drug or alcohol abuse of the parent, or even divorce, as I did, bullying, homelessness, community aspects of the pandemic shutting down, if that family unit was really impacted by it, wildfires, having to move. I mean, there's a lot of things that can attribute to what we would call an adverse childhood experience. The impact of these can be huge. There's learning and long life behavior challenges, emotional challenges. We know that neuroscience has taught us that when they have like a reaction to stress and the adrenaline and cortisol will continue to be flooded in your brain, that's called toxic stress. And that is what we see in students. We see if they go back to the ACEs, they're saying that like one of those things that could happen, maybe they witnessed an abuse or homelessness happened, or that would be a 1. And about 64% of our population have at least experienced one. And so having a score of 4 means exposure to about 4 it is the key marker that really impacts the growth and development for students. And so thinking about 4 different experiences through your life and how the resiliency of students, it's not that many things can happen. So we believe that that's part of the impact that we're seeing for students that are coming in young. We're seeing more impact. And when that cortisol is released and that toxic stress is happening, these are the symptoms that we see in students. And all of those can manifest as a potential that someone may say they're coming with some sort of learning challenge or behavior problem. But a child who falls asleep in class, we've seen that. And they wake up and they're very irritable. They have trouble sleeping. So that they're just running on red all the time. The restlessness, they feel like they're complaining of somatic symptoms in their body and trouble with concentration. So these are what we're seeing as an increased level in our younger grades, especially, that are contributing to the teachers showing us that we're having more behavior problems. We know that there's been a lot of research on behavior because behavior is not new. The pandemic didn't start behavior, right? It's happened. We know what interventions are not effective and what interventions are effective. So not effective are the ones that we usually think of a punitive measure, just meeting with the student. Referring to special education for behavior does not have a very good impact effect size. What we do know works are some of the things that in Los Altos we've been able to put into place, and we're going to share with them. We know that positive behavior supports health, social skills training, token economies, all of these things we know have the higher effect size of being able to tell us what works for students. And you heard it earlier, but curriculum and development have gone through and they talked about those 2, the positive development relationships and environments full of safety and belonging. Though giving the teachers training in those are is a core foundation for being able to set students up for success in our classrooms. We have psychologists and behaviorists at all of our sites. And they're there to support the students and the teachers that maybe need a little more help and to help guide the principals. We do feel that we're lucky to be here, that we have these layers of support. And we're gonna talk a little bit about what are we need down all this thing, the actual interventions that we have.
So what we have in place as part of our multi-tiered system of supports, and how we really look at what the resources students need is looking at tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So we're gonna go over specific examples of what the tier 1 supports and structures we have, support all our students, then going into tier 2 for some that need a little bit more, and then going further for what are the more intensive supports that we need for the few students that really need more of that individualized attention that we have. So what we do have for tier 1, we're going to go over the direct teaching of rules and procedures. Tier 1 really are the proactive strategies that we have in place. Positive behavior supports that we're going to go over with Erin. Safety care, the training that all of our staff, including administrators, go through as a proactive measure and reactive measure sometimes. Tier 2 supports in KidStars and play zones, behavior strategy plans, proactive and reactive, that are very student specific. And then tier 3, more of the intensive support, the types of social skills, group therapies, the types of supports our behaviors provide. And then when is it that it's appropriate for students to have more intensive support so that they can function in a classroom, meaning when they need instructional assistance and behavior technicians to support their learning with the teachers in any of their learning environments. So for preventative practice, tier 1, preventative practice for all students, we are very intentional with teaching our students our classroom rules and procedures. We have our social emotional learning, character strong is something that all students are exposed to. We have positive behavior supports, and then safety care training. Jen can go over what are the proactive tools that we use for positive behavior and safety care.
Yeah, so just going back though to some of our positive behavior supports, we do a lot of training and teaching with staff around what those tier 1 supports are in classrooms. We've helped to put together a checklist for them that teachers can have access to see what can they do to help build these relationships with all their students. Last year I had the opportunity, I met with all the TK and K teachers and their staff, and we got to do a training around this and give them some of that extra support. So that was good to be able to start it when they're really young. But one huge thing I think that we do here is safety care. So that's our crisis management training that we do. And almost every special education staff members train in how to manage crisis behaviors, but also a lot of our general education staff. So any staff that has a student in their classroom that has a little bit extra challenging behaviors, or they want to come and learn more, then they can come to this training. One reason we've chosen this training is because it really focuses a lot more on the proactive side and how to prevent behaviors from occurring instead of just focusing on that reactive side and how to manage it once they happen. So we really spend a lot of time to be able in this training to be able to provide this to all of our staff. That's one huge thing. And then when we get to tier 2, something I think that's unique that we are able to also provide in this district is, it's called KidStars, and then another program is Play Zone. So KidStars is, we have a target student, which is a student that does receive the specific service. However, it is open to all students within their grade level. So especially for KidStars, it's a first and second grade social skills program where we work on sportsmanship and compromising and coping strategies. And each week it's a set curriculum. And the way that it's structured is there's a student, our target student, but then all of the students who are in the first grade class are in a rotation schedule of being able to come. So they're all able to learn all these strategies and skills within their classroom. And then our other big program we can do is called Play Zone. And that's where we can we've been setting up structured play opportunities out at recess. So we have a lot of students who don't always know what to do or need a little bit more structure and guidance. And so we're able to provide them with different opportunities. Since I've been here, I'm finishing my 12th year, we've been able to provide it almost every single year. And I want to say, actually, this is the first year We just haven't had the staff available to provide play zone. So we haven't been able to have that on our campuses, our elementary campuses, but in the past, we've been able to have it at most of our campuses. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that back in the future, because I know it was a nice place for a lot of our kids who do have these challenges to be able to go and get some more support. And then, our tier 3 is, that top tier level who need that little bit more support. Then we have social skills groups that we have access, that they have access to, the behaviorists and the psychologists, we run these groups together. And then as the behaviorist, we provide consultation, we help set up programs, we meet with teams and psychologists to help set up different behavior strategy plans for our students. And then we have our direct staff, so they're the instructional assistants, our behavior techs that can go in and provide direct support into the classrooms. So yeah, so that's looking at things like into the different levels that we provide.
Oh, yeah. So we really want to say that we're grateful for the supports that we had some, we were the ability to be ahead of the curve of the challenges after the pandemic. We had structures in place, we had people, we had trainings, we were able to do that. And we do know it's a budget time. And so we are looking at, kind of being able to right side and adapt to the changing needs of our students, but we're in a much better place than a lot of our districts who are working really quickly to build what we have, right? And so the psychologists at each of the sites are integral as part of that tier 1 support, being able to work, and then they work very closely with our behaviorists that go out. We have 3 main behaviorists that help run the rest of the programming for students at the schools. Again, a lot of our program is for students with IEPs, but what you just heard about, really, we are able to blend that support into a lot more people, right? So with the Kid Stars, that is for someone who might be on an IEP as a target student, but then you just heard that like the rest of the class gets the social skills built into it by being able to be part of that. So there's a lot of ways that we kind of build our supports and that the rest of the group is able to kind of learn from. We do have some changes that we wanted to be able to do. We want to be able to build and help with capacity. We want to make sure that we can move into more of a coaching model instead of a direct service, so that we can build capacity with our teachers and the staff members at the site to be able to have those skills and be able to come in and support as needed, and to be able to streamline the supports that we do have. But we are very thankful, and we feel like we've been in a good spot with all the supports that we do have. That was all I had. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. I love hearing about the stuff that you and your staff do. Any questions?
For your tier 3 support, do you pull kids out of the classroom to offer that support, or is that done in the classroom?
Both. I mean, we do mainly a lot of push-in support of helping to support the students and teach them strategies that they can use within the classroom. So the goal is for us to fade out. So we might initially provide a little bit of pull-out to teach a little bit more direct instruction, but then we'll quickly try to push back in to happen in the class.
I have a question. Do you offer any kind of support to the families? Because we're working with the kids here and then they have to go home to an environment that may not support the good work that we're doing or might be chaotic.
Yeah.
About that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, so we spend a lot of our time liaison with families, but also our psychology students spend a lot of their time really working closely with families, even in that tier 1, tier 2 time, connecting with outside resources if need be, connecting with therapy if needed within our schools, outside of our schools. And then if they are part of an IEP or something where they do have additional services, part of your job is working very closely with outside supports and services and the parents and making sure that the child has continuity back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is standard collaboration for us to work with, private or home-based ABA companies. Our behaviors did that. And it's through that practice that we started getting a lot of anecdotes that they don't have a private home ABA therapists for us to collaborate with, because they're on a wait list. A lot of parents are sharing that the resources out there have been depleted during the pandemic. There's not a lot of ABA or RBTs, registered behavior techs, going into the homes to support students. And so those are a lot of the sharing that's coming up in preschool where they get most of that early intervention supports that we're starting to learn. And so we're doing a lot more collaboration directly with families instead of collaborating with home providers because they're needing that support.
And we're looking to change a couple of things because, again, it's that TK kiddos where we don't know, and then they come in. And so we've done a lot of different assessments and preschool where a student might not qualify for our program. Behavior is not one of the 13 eligibility categories. And so, but we've kept note of who these parents are, and then we've kept notes, and we told them that we'd like to be able to help them do some you know, things before school to help with the transition onto school and help the parents be on the same page with being able to get the student ready for some of the behavioral kind of expectations. So that is something we're thinking about. How do we support a little bit more of the incoming kiddos, maybe with some more structure?
That's great. That's really good. Check them before they come. That's
Yeah,
really
prime
important.
it.
Yeah. Any other clarifying questions before we go to public comment? I think we have one for public comment here.
Yes. I get to speak to the parent side, and I'm gonna try not to get teary because you guys got to see Emma at your last board meeting. And she's here and she came because of Erin and the team. We were one of the families who has almost never gotten outside support. We have been on wait list after wait list after wait list. And every time we change insurance, which has happened every time we change jobs, we start at the beginning again. Because a lot of them work with one of them. And I currently have put out 1 million applications and don't have any support. And I get it from her resource team, especially they spoke a lot about, you know, just the supports they had, but also the resource and the instructional assistants. Emma has 2 instructional assistants, one who is actually CSEA Employee of the Year for Springer, who's been with her since kindergarten. And so when she doesn't feel well, they know right away in a way that almost nobody else does. They can say, they offered a support and she just went, no, thank you, and went to lay down, and they know her so intimately in a way that I feel like only I know her. And it means so much to have these people that I trust my child with on a daily basis. And it just means a huge amount. We just had a big meeting. We all saw all these same changes and they were giving me lovely ideas. How could I support her at home? What could we change? Back and forth, we had 5-6 hours of just how could we all work together on being on the same page. And for us, the thing I repeat to families is Emma's growth is incredible and it doesn't mean she looks like another student. That does not always mean success. And just also reminding families when they're concerned about other students in class, Emma's peers adore her and they support her in wonderful ways. And her amazing growth does not mean just she looks the same as them. And it's still so wonderful to have her included. The fact that she's enthusiastic to be at school. For me, the thing I repeat every time is she misses going to school during the summer. And that's all we want for our children is for them to have a place. They feel loved and welcomed, and she misses all the people every year, and she's so excited to come back, and it just means so much as a parent, because that's really all you want. And I just really appreciate having the supports I've had for all these years, and so it's just really wanted to share a lovely story about how wonderful it's been.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And maybe goosebumps. Oh gosh, okay, any further board discussion? All of you, all 4 of you, feel like a big lump in my throat. So thank you so much for the excellent, amazing work that you do. Just to say thank you does not feel like enough to capture what you do for our kiddos. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kim, for your comment. Right, ooh,
Teacher.
another good one. I've been excited about this one, actually. Teacher induction program update.
We're excited about it too. Next week, our 3rd cohort of inductees will have a culminating event for the year where they basically exhibit their learning. They have an opportunity to share the work they've been doing this year and to reflect on their growth. And it's one of the highlights of our end of the year to be able to go and hear the things that our new teachers have worked on with their mentors over the course of the year and how they've transformed. It's also a timely time for us to be coming to talk to you because we're in a particular part of our accreditation cycle that we'll tell you a little bit about today.
So I'm actually beginning very far away from beginning teaching practice intentionally. I'm going to talk about expert teaching, and it's so interesting that we just had Allison here, who actually represents a truly expert teacher, but she spoke about these 2 points very clearly when she talked about the arc of the school year and the kind of reflection teachers engage in as they think about what has happened and what might happen next to better serve their students. So in the work of developing teacher expertise, there's really 2 main things that are named that are central to teaching that really reaches kids. The first one is that expert teachers have a clear developed vision of what classrooms ought to look like and feel like. And that's something we intentionally work on, developing that vision with our newest beginning teachers. The second thing is that expert teachers are deeply critical of their own teaching practice, and they seek to improve based on their reflection. That's exactly what Allison was talking about. So this feels far away from beginning teaching practice, but it's so deeply connected because it informs where we're headed with this newest cohort of teachers. We are aiming to build habits of practice, not tell people how things ought to be done, because every work that happens with kids each year is responsive to the group they have at that time. So developing those habits is absolutely critical. So now we move to this other idea of what's true for beginning teachers. And in many ways, this is actually true for all people who work this 180-day school year, this incredible arc. You talked about this joyful anticipation that begins to occur at the end of the year, this uptick, this uplift. The thing for new teachers, though, is the highs are particularly high and the lows are particularly low. So this graph doesn't come out of thin air. This is from Ellen Moyer and New Teacher Center, and this really does represent a very real trajectory for our beginning teachers as they develop their craft. But imagine going at this alone. And if you think about that, when you really hit that dip there, we call that phase disillusionment. Really, to be clear, these are attitudinal phases that someone is experiencing. This feels like a very true reality. So we want to hold and honor both things, the reality that people are navigating as they aim to serve kids, and this hope, what we believe and know for the craft of developing expert teachers. Both are true. And mentoring is central to navigating this and understanding these challenges so clearly.
About 5 years ago, we decided that it was in the best interest of our teachers and our students that we start an induction program here in Los Altos School District so that we could contextualize the work that our new teachers do to the very specific work that we do in Los Altos with our students. Induction, though, serves a very important purpose as far as clearing teachers' credentials. And we are a state accredited program in order to be able to help teachers clear their preliminary credential. That's one purpose of it. The other purpose of it we've already been talking about is that teachers set goals that are related to the California standards for the teaching profession, and they work with their mentor over the course of 2 years. It's a 2-year requirement, and they meet weekly, the mentors in their classroom, watching and giving feedback, and they engage together in action research to identify something that they want to do to support students, and a theory of action that if we do this, then we believe this will happen. And they put that action into practice and then look at what it did, and then reflect on the changes. This sort of habit is actually not too far from what Allison was talking about either. This sitting back and I've tried these things this year, and now I'm going to think about how it worked and make some changes for next year. It's that habit of mind that we're working to build for teachers. We balance that work with the just-in-time that supports that is needed. So when teachers are in that disillusionment phase, they need something a little bit different that is just about what you need right now, today, this week. And so our really highly skilled mentors do that balancing act with teachers. We've been in business for 3 years now and served a small number of teachers over the years. The teachers in our program are either brand new to the teaching profession or coming from an out-of-state job or a private school job where they need still to meet the requirement for teacher induction. And so consequently, we have year one teachers, year two teachers, and we also have teachers in the program who are working on an early completion option. So they don't have to, because of their broad experience, don't need to complete the full induction experience.
So Greg just talked about how trained our mentors are. They are highly trained in coaching, but the thing about mentoring is you really have to understand the unique context of the beginning teacher and what's true and real in the world. But in particular, coupling the long-term goal work with the just-in-time support that's very real. So when I talk about mentors being highly trained, it's really in the art of having a coaching conversation. It's not merely about giving advice or getting you through this situation by, oh, do this. This is the thing to do. The reality is these teachers are going to be in this we want to sustain them in this profession, and they need to have the habits of mind in place to be able to build this practice more independently. That doesn't mean we don't still seek collaboration. That's an important component of being a teacher, but it does mean that you eventually do not have a mentor with you every step of the way. So we talk about what it is that mentors do in their coaching conversation. There's really three main things. We think first about offering support and what that looks like, but that's really just one component. It's really important to create cognitive challenge for the teachers, that they can start to engage in that kind of reflection that allows them to do thinking that leads to learning. What is true? What is the habit of practice I'm developing? They also help them facilitate a professional vision that really gets at how classrooms ought to look like and feel like. So this is, I've really hats off to our mentors who do incredible work. They're so incredibly skillful in the work they do with teachers. What it looks like, what it doesn't look like. So a mentor absolutely is a guide in the process. So induction does include a portfolio. There are things that have to happen because it is a component to clear a credential. And they are a guide in that process to help it be meaningful and tailored for that teacher. They do offer advice and provide support. That's true, but that's also not the only thing. They're always promoting reflection, and in their development in their mentoring and coaching practice, skillful questioning, effective questioning is a key component. And they personalize the program, which is why we believe so strongly in having an in-house program, that it allows us to do that even more in a way that supports our unique context. What they don't do is engage in any formal evaluation, any evaluation whatsoever. They do not share confidential details with principal or with anyone else. They're a really trusted person. They don't recommend hiring. Again, that's connected to evaluation. They also don't do the heavy lifting. So they're there to support, but it's to help you think through challenges. So one thing to note is there is a clear separation between the system of evaluation and the system of coaching. That's really intentional to give teachers that trusted person in the practice space to do really intense work. The work of teaching is incredibly complex, and they need that practice space to do these kinds of things.
We collect survey data each year from our teachers in the program. And over the last 3 years, these are just 3 statements. 90%, 97% of our teachers agree that my mentor guides me through induction processes in ways that make the processes feel meaningful and relevant. My mentor believes in me and pushes me to be better, and my relationship with my mentor is positive, and I feel safe with them. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but there are some themes that we noticed that have emerged in comments in our survey. A lot of them have to do with the quality of feedback that teachers get from their mentors, constructive and meaningful feedback, that the process of analyzing student work together and making plans and hearing mentors' solutions and ideas, really helpful for them. And they often mention this combination of, just like we talk about with students, balancing care and push. So our teachers feel like their mentor really cares about them and they believe that they can do better. In one of these lines, I'll just read one little part to you, that this mentorship experience not only enhanced my teaching skills, but also boosted my confidence in addressing various classroom challenges. And that often is the net outcome for our participating teachers, that they walk away with this sense of confidence that they can do this job and do it well. We are in the process of full accreditation right now. As I said before, we started thinking about this program about 5 years ago, and in 2021, we went through all of the prerequisites to become eligible. And then in 2022, got provisional approval to begin our program. So we've been operational now for 3 school years. And next year, we will have a site visit from the CTC. And we will be hopeful that we anticipate that we will get full institutional approval in 2026 at the end of next school year. And then we'll be on a 7-year cycle for accreditation. It's very exciting for us because we've put a lot of heart and soul into this work. I think we have several former mentors in this room. Jen, I think, was a former mentor. Jen was too, yeah. And Sandra McGonigal. And so we all have a particular affection for this important work that we do with teachers. And we're pleased that we're moving forward with this because we do great things for teachers every year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Board, does anyone have any clarifying questions? Are there any requests for public comment? No? Public comment is closed. Board discussion? Yeah.
Who are the mentors? And how are they chosen?
Oh, that's my question. How do you choose the mentors?
And
Good
who
question.
mentors the mentors?
You or me?
Okay, I'll start. Our mentors are instructional coaches. They're fully released from the classroom. We really believe in that practice, that it best serves our teachers to allow them to have the opportunity to really expand that role and to receive the kind of training that you're talking about. So we do have fewer instructional coaches than we've had in the past. So we used to have a much bigger IST team. We currently have 2 ISTs, and so we engage in, I'm essentially, I work with them very closely. Ongoing support, we call it a forum where we come together around practices connected to coaching and mentoring. So we look at specific needs for mentoring. We use the word mentoring when we talk about beginning teaching practice and coaching more broadly when we're talking about all teachers. There's also, we've sent our newest coach to there's a particular training we sent her to, but a very particular new teacher mentor training that was 4 days, I believe, very comprehensive, and she engaged in a cohort. So
they're experienced teachers and also experienced in LASD, so they understand deeply teaching and they understand deeply our context here in Los Altos.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah, and thank you for asking that question because I remember when you first brought up this whole induction program and how excited you were about it. And so it's really great to see how far it's come along. I was always thinking about, wow, so what a great program, we're creating great teachers, but what I'm getting out of today's conversation, that we're creating great mentors too, you know, and so that was something that I didn't kind of see would come of it. So it's very exciting.
we have the best mentors.
Yeah. You do, it sounds like it. So this is very exciting. So thank you for all the hard work you put into it.
thank you.
It's a lot. It's a long-term vision. So I literally remember you being excited about it.
Yeah, it was a shared vision. We made it happen, or are making it happen.
Thank you. Any other really? No? All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is the LASD pre-kindergarten certificate of compliance. Okay.
Well, I think Gregory is coming back to talk about this. No?
I can.
We can talk about anything.
Coming back. Huh? Thank you very much. we are, okay, let me wrap my head around this just a second. So we are in a position where we have, continued to have TK openings, just like so many schools around us as TK continues to expand, and the state's requirements around the qualifications for TK teachers are really important. We need TK teachers who understand the differences between teaching 3- and 4-year-olds and teaching 5-year-olds, and there are many 5-year-olds and up. And so there are 3 possible pathways to obtaining the certification to teach TK, and LEAs are responsible for ensuring that teachers meet one of those requirements. So our ask is that to do this, that we create a certificate of compliance that we can award to teachers to show that they have met those requirements. And you'll see, I think, in the packet that one of the ways is that they have 24 early childhood education units. Another way is that they
The TK3 credential.
have a
or
TK3,
something.
I don't remember the name of it, I
Yeah.
was trying to think of, there's a specific name of a credential that they need to have. And the third is that they have experience with preschool age children. And we can set the criteria for what that means. And so you'll see that there's a process that we're proposing where teachers would, in order to meet that third requirement, there's a list of things that they could do to satisfy that requirement. And we believe that those things that we have selected are a rigorous way for teachers to show that they are knowledgeable about the demands of teaching very young children. So that is the overview of that.
Does any parent qualify for the 3 to 4-year-old?
You'd like to be a preschool? I would like to be a TK.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for pinpointing that. Any clarifying questions from the board? No? Okay, are there any requests for public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? Okay, then may I please have a motion to approve the LASD pre-kindergarten certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Any further board discussion? Okay. Motion to approve the LASD pre-kindergarten certificate of compliance was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right. Next, Mr. Wallachevich will walk us through the transfer of development rights purchase and sale agreement amendment.
Since Greg is here, Greg, do you want to help? You did such a nice job.
I know. It's a good
No,
initiative.
this will be-
I'm glad he was.
So yeah, this has been a long time transfer development, right? If the original project was Malone Geyer. And Malone Geyer went to the city in late 2020. Our board of trustees approved the TDR agreement for 19.5 million on March 8th of 2021. So it's been over 4 years now. And we received a deposit of $585,000. Malone Geyer has been working hard and feverishly with the city of Mountain View, has been unable to get the project entitled. We are hearing that they will be on the agenda at the next meeting with the city next Tuesday night. Malone Geyer decided to sell their TDR, their agreement to Brookfield, who's doing business as Orion v. Sac Village Development. And we brought an amendment to that agreement to change the title to them. That was in last November, and then we're bringing this amendment to clean up some of the language, some of the terms, and then so this has to be an amendment. We want to get this amendment approved by the board before it goes to city council. We've been working hard with Malone Guyer and Brookfield to make sure that we are good partners with them because it is a development in the city of Mountain View. It's not good just for the TDR program, but it's good for development for the city and to build development out there. So we feel this is a good agreement. It's been reviewed by legal counsel. It's an action item. So we're asking the board to approve this amendment to the TDR for the sale agreement.
Thank you. Does anyone have any clarifying questions for Eric? No? No? Okay. Are there any requests for public comment? No? Public comment is now closed. Fine. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? Okay. Then may I please have a motion to approve the amendment to the agreement for the transfer of 150,000 square feet of development rights to Orion V. Sac Village Development Property LLC for the Malone Guyer Brookfield San Antonio Center Phase 3 project.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Righty. Motion to approve the amendment to the agreement for the transfer of 150,000 square feet of development rights to Orion V. Sac Village Development Property LLC for the Malone Guyer Brookfield San Antonio Center Phase 3 project was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. Any further board discussion? Right. Then may I have, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Great. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And Eric, Budget Review Committee report?
Next item also tonight, the
Oh,
20.
this says discussion.
I'm sorry, discussion item. But this is the report that was developed by the Budget Review Committee. We met several times this spring to look at the challenges that we're facing in this upcoming budget year. And these are some of the recommendations. Staffing is the biggest expense for the district, and we've been working very hard. We've been using the term the last 3 years of right sizing our staffing to match enrollment. And we want to kind of show that, so you could see over the last 5 years, you can see the budgeted positions. So when the board adopted the budget, these were the positions. You can see in 21, 22, slowly coming out of COVID, we had an increase. A lot of those positions that went up were actually as a result of extra people we hired with one-time funds. As those funds have been exhausted and depleted, the district enrollment was also declining at the same time. So we reduced positions by over 30. These are at the budget. And at the end of the year, sometimes you might have money in the budget for a position, but they might not be hired. That does happen at times, or somebody will leave in the middle of the year and we decide to not hire them back. So that's why sometimes the budget actually ends up happening is a little different. In 24, 25, reduced another 16 budgeted positions. And going into next year's budget, will bring us to the board for the public hearing June 2nd. We'll be bringing in 408 FTEs, and it's called full-time equivalent. So we might have 500 employees, but we have 408 full-time equivalents because some of them are part-time. And so if you, like, for example, the kinder aides who do great jobs in her, they work 6 hours a day, but not 8. So they're 0.75 FTEs. So there are some challenges as we've been talking about. In the last several years, the committee recognized that, we call them unfunded mandates, and they really are. I mean, TK is a wonderful program. We can all acknowledge that, but it's very expensive, which we've been talking about here, hiring. We're going to have 10 TKs next year. That is a challenge. We have to buy furniture, equipment, supplies. We have to have staff. We talked about proper credentialing, and then also the aides that go along with it. So it's also an impact on our facilities, making sure we have the right classrooms for them. ELOP is a great program. Our participation in ELOP has been growing. We have to offer that though for 30 extra days. So we have great ELOP providers that you've approved tonight on the consent agenda. And then the Universal Meals Program is partially funded. I could say it's not completely unfunded, but it's still an impact to our general fund, almost $2 million of our contribution to make that fund solvent. So these are challenges that every district is facing, so we're not alone, but we don't get extra money for the TK kids. We haven't heard that there's going to be any changes in Sacramento for the budget year, so we'll see as we're sorting out the May revise. There has been talk about Kansas basic aid school districts receive some funding for TK. We don't think that's going to, there's just too many challenges that the state is facing to try to fund all districts. So we'll see how that goes. But these are some real ongoing challenges that the district has been grappling with for several years. and we will continue to do so. But the number one thing we've really been doing, and I really appreciate everybody speaking tonight, is we are a kid business. And it's not just about money, but we're giving kids great educations, and I love our new logo, and I have my shirt at work the other day. But we are very proud to be LASD and continue offering great programs. But our budget review committee really knows our challenges, and so we're gonna be working hard to look at our staffing very closely. And then the number one thing really is making sure that to maintain the stability and quality of our educational programs, and really how are we gonna really work hard to roll up our sleeves and reduce our budget deficit, and then make sure we do not spend one-time reserves for ongoing programs. There really is not a clarity if there'll be any one-time money this year at the state. It's been talked about, but until we see the government and the budget signed by the governor, we'll deal with that first time for sure. So these are some basic recommendations. The budget review committee knows there's some challenges, and we really appreciate Allison was attended a few meetings, so thank you, Allison, for coming. And we really appreciate that Kimberly was also there, so thank you, Kimberly. So we do appreciate the partnership. We have board members on it. So thank you, Vladimir and Stella, for being on it as well.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Right?
So what are the 13 FTEs where are the reductions coming from for next year?
The combination of instructional assistants, that's mostly the ones from behaviorists, from special education department. We have a couple, like maybe one or two teachers for that are retiring, and we're able to absorb it at the middle school. But mostly on the classified side, maybe 2 FTEs on the certificate side. That's actually, this includes adding 3.5 FTEs for the 2 TK classes, right? So it's net. So it's a net, it'll be, it'd be probably more than that. It'd probably be 16, but we're probably at budget time, we're gonna adopt minus 13. There's 2 positions that are vacant now, and we'll just see how it goes. We'll know much more in October when CBEDS happens, and when we see how many kids show up in October. And then we'll adjust accordingly first in December. So, but at this time, we're gonna budget 408 FTEs for next year.
Thank you. Any other clarifying questions? No? Okay. Any requests for public comment? Great. Public comment is now closed. Any further board discussion on this agenda item? Right? Oh, sorry.
One of the things on the budget review committee that we do is we look at this kind of stuff. And what we haven't done in the past, and which I hope we can incorporate in the future, is to have a better sense of what it is that we're losing when we reduce FTEs. And I would hope that we have a better rationale for it than simply our ratios are out of whack with other schools, or our ratios are higher than other schools. So just a plug for phrasing it in terms of what we're losing and the amount of money that we're gaining essentially. That's all.
I think the challenge with that, I'll just add one thing, the challenge with that in budget review committee is we're talking about actual people. Right, so and positions, so it's back and forth, but because at this point in time, we're talking about just through attrition, right? People have resigned or retired, and then internally, we're looking really closely at whether or not that particular position needs to be rehired. So it's a delicate conversation to have at the public committee level.
Yeah. It still would be nice to get a sense of
Absolutely.
what it is. Okay, that's all.
Brian?
Yeah, I think it was sort of struck by the sentence in the second bullet point here that says the district will need to continue its efforts to right size its staffing to match enrollment. Because I think I think previous boards have been clear that the community is not willing to close schools. And I think I just want to sort of say for the record, we have a couple of new trustees, that my impression has been that sort of 2 classrooms per grade
Yeah.
is a minimum viable program.
Agree.
So I just want to put that out there, that even though, because, and for the community as well, because people often ask, like, hey, if enrollment is declining, why can't you have fewer teachers? And I think we've made a decision as a board that we're gonna have 7 elementary schools and we're gonna have 2 classrooms at each of those elementary schools.
Correct.
And if we lose kids, that's not gonna reduce our spend, because we can't operate the program with 1 classroom of like first and second and third grades at one of our smaller schools. So I just want to sort of set that expectation that we can't continue to, you know, especially given the presentation we got a little earlier on the behavioral needs and everything else,
Yep.
like it feels like we're getting pretty close to a minimum viable staffing level. Even if enrollment continues to drift down slightly. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Eric. Next is the award of contract for the Gardner Boulevard parking lot. Eric, that's you again. This is an action item.
Yes, in 2023, the Gardner Bowles PTA, they funded a new shade structure project, which we were very appreciative of. It was approved by the Division of State Architect. That portion of the shade structure projects actually had been completed. But then during the review, the Division of State Architects reviewed all school construction. They required some ADA upgrades out in the parking lot. So with the American Disabilities Act, we had to rework the parking lot. And then the drawings that were approved by DSA didn't match what was actually happening in the parking lot. So the district subsequently hired Hobach and Lewin, who's a civil engineer. They're actually the civil engineer who's doing the grant project for their teacher housing project. And their office is actually in Palo Alto. So they came out, they're very experienced civil engineers. They submitted drawings to DSA. DSA approved the drawings that did match and conform to existing site conditions. We bid out the project last November because it takes a lot of time to get all this done. Unfortunately, the bids were over our bid limits. Our bid limits for Kupka last year were $60,000. The bids were coming in over that. So we had to actually rebid the project and advertise it. So because we're now in winter time, not a good time to do paving, it's also in the middle of instruction. We're unable to do a project in the middle of school to shut down the parking lot for like a month and a half. That wouldn't work. So we decided, since the parking lot needed extra repairs, I'm all about efficiencies. If we're gonna out there be doing some American disability work and reworking some of the parking stalls, make them compliant, then that would be a good time to actually do some other repairs. Some of the asphalt was cracking, alligating, and once you get water in there, then you get potholes and other issues. As you drive around the city, some of the cities maintain the streets, some do not. So we decided to rebid the project with an additional scope for some more paving repairs. On May 1st, we did a pre-job walk. 11 bidders show up, which is the largest I've ever seen. I was like, oh, this is great. So that means they're very interested in the work, and they were. But then on bid day, we received 4 bids. One of them was non-responsive. So they were rejected because they weren't pre-qualified, which is a requirement. And so the apparent low bidder was Tri-Valley Excavation. We held a post-bid interview with the vendor. They have done a lot of school projects. They know DSA. They'll be doing the work during the summer, so will not disrupt school activities. We're gonna be doing it in July, because there's a little bit of a camp going on at the end of June. And then the city of Los Altos Hills also trying to use the parking lot as kind of a catch-all for some extra things for the July 4th parade. So we said we can totally schedule around that. So we've been working with the school site. So this is a Measure N funded project. It's an action item. So we're asking the board to approve a contract and notice of award to Tri-Valley Excavation for $372,000 and $372,570.
Okay. Thank you. Any clarifying questions? No? Any public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item?
Of course.
I'll look at you first.
Eric, what color is going to be the pavement?
Will be the asphalt color, coal dark color, yeah.
Can we make it gray?
We cannot.
Wonderful.
I don't think we can do gray asphalt.
Add white to it.
We could ask the paving contractor, but I don't.
The reason I'm asking
Yeah,
is
yeah.
because it gets so hot.
The
Now, we have a lot of
The heat island effect, yes,
shade on there, but it still gets really hot.
yeah.
And I'd hate to have somebody go out there, cook an egg and have it reported in the paper.
Last.
Yes, please.
So that will be completed in July,
Yes,
and then DSA will be able to sign off on that project.
that is the goal, yes, of that project. And then once that is done,
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean, they'll sign off after the beginning of school, or is there a lag time?
there's a little bit of a lag time,
Okay.
but it's been much improved. They actually have a thing called the box, and actually the inspector will sign off on it. They upload it to the box. Then we have to fill out some forms, and then we have to pay final fees, because part of the project is DSA has to review it, so you'll be paying some DS fees to review it, and then we give them the project cost, we give them the total cost of the project, and we pay fees off of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're hoping 6 to 8 weeks for final DSA approval and certification, and then we can take care of the shape structure.
And this will all be completed before school starts on the
The
14th.
paving part will be yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right, seeing as this is an action item, then may I have a motion to approve the contract with Tri-Valley Excavating Company Incorporated for the Gardner Bullis paving renovation project?
Electrically, I'll make a motion.
Because it's not.
It's black.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Stella. Any qualms with the color? Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Okay, motion to approve the contract with Tri-Valley Excavating Company Incorporated for the Gardner Bullis paving renovation project was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. Any further board discussion? All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. And next, we have resolution number 24/25-15, requesting Board of Supervisors of Santa Clara County to establish tax rate for bonds of the Los Altos School District expected to be sold during fiscal year 2025-2026 and authorizing necessary actions in connection therewith. Eric. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, so tonight we have this item as a resolution, and we anticipate selling bonds sometime next year, most likely late spring. In order to do that, we need to, the county requires us to do a tax rate resolution of when we expect to sell the bonds. We also have to provide them 18-month debt service requirements. So with that, we did that, that's been filed with the county. So tonight is, we're asking the board to approve this resolution that set the tax rate for 25-26 for Measure EE bonds. It would be the first issuance. You have the resolution in front of you. I also have Catherine Jacobson here with an RBC. She's one of our underwriters. She stayed the whole meeting just for this item. So thank you, Catherine. I also want to thank Catherine. She helps us with some of our financing, her and Makiko. And then also we, as our budget book has all those charts and graphs. So Catherine has been a saint of helping us. I go, Catherine, can you find me this AV chart that has this? And I don't know where Randy had it, right? So Catherine was great. She's helped us the last 2 years with some of the charts and graphs, and I really we appreciate her time. She was here today in case you had any questions. And the formalities, but this is a pretty general item, but if we're also might have Catherine here as the expert in the house. So thank you. It's an action item for resolution 24/25-15.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Catherine, for being here. Let's see. Any clarifying questions? No? Okay, any public comment? No, this public comment is now closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? Or ask Catherine a question because she's not in there with us all this time? None?
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
All right, then may I please have a motion to approve resolution number 24/25-15.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. All right. Okay, Motion to approve resolution number 24/25-15. Requesting Board of Supervisors of Santa Clara County to establish tax rate for bonds of Los Altos School District expected to be sold during fiscal year 2025 to 2026 and authorizing necessary actions in connection therewith was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. As this is a resolution, I will take a roll call vote. Stella?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Sorry. I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Catherine.
How's your youngest?
She's 3 in TK.
So you learned about
It was an
TK,
interesting
right?
discussion, yeah. Oh, sorry, my older is in TK, my 5-year-old. My youngest is 3.
See, we did ask you a question.
Thank you.
Sorry, have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night. All right, moving on to resolution number 24/25-16, establishing temporary inter-fund transfers.
Yeah, this is a routine item that we board every year, in order to meet our cash flow. This allows the district to borrow from inter-fund from our other funds, and we listed all the funds for you. It's a resolution that must be sent to the county. So if we start transferring money, they know that the board approved it. In the past, the district has done a TRAN, which is a tax revenue anticipation note to borrow. Unfortunately, the interest rate environment's a little different, so we do have to pay interest, a lot more interest. We do get interest on the money on a TRAN last year where we didn't have to do a TRAN. We were able to meet our cash flow without doing any interfund borrowing or a TRAN. We're hoping to do that this year, but this allows us to borrow if cash gets low. As you know, the district is a basic aid school district, so we receive the bulk of our tax proceeds really only about 2 or 3 times a year. The rest of the year, we have to have cash, which is reserves on hand to meet our monthly cash flow. This allows the district to borrow from interfunds. It's a routine item, and we're asking for you to approve resolution 24/25-16 to establish temporary interfund borrowing.
Thank you, Eric. Any clarifying questions for Eric? No? Okay. Any requests for public comment? Great. Public comment is now closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? Please feel free.
I mentioned to Sandra that one suggestion I have is that we make a blanket interfund transfer resolution at the beginning of the year, and that we have individual transfers be consent items. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it just would take off one item at a board meeting every now and then, whenever you need to do it. It's not critical in any sense, but it's a little workflow suggestion. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, then may I have a motion to approve resolution number 24/25-16, establish temporary interfund transfers.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Right. Motion to approve resolution number 24/25-16, establish temporary interfund transfers was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Stella?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, board policy updates. Mrs. McGonigal.
All right, you have 6 updates that are for discussion tonight. So if you have a chance or have already had a chance to read through them, but please let us know before the 3rd meeting. If there are any clarifications or questions you have, and we can talk through those. We did that today.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You just said the 3rd meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 2nd meeting, meeting on the 2nd is what I meant,
okay.
June 2nd. I don't know why, for some reason, I keep using the date, the 3rd. Yeah, it's late, it's past my bedtime. But let me know, and
Me
then
too.
those will be back
Okay.
Okay,
on the 2nd, not the 3rd.
you guys gotta hang in there. We still have closed session.
I know.
All right, any clarifying questions from the board for Sandra? Nope. Any requests for public comments? No. Okay. Any further board session? No? All right, great, thank you so much. Moving on to board and administration comments. Carrie, would you like to kick us off?
Thank you. Speaking of June 2nd, I
see that Kimberly's still in the audience. We're pleased to bring forward our Classified School Employees Association tentative agreement at our next board meeting. Just want to thank the association for their hard work at table. We TA'd or tentatively agreed on 12 different areas and articles. So thank you so much. Speaking of negotiations, I want to congratulate my colleague Eric Walakevich for getting the certificate in negotiations from the School Employees Association of California, or SEAC. We did it together. So
They both received it.
It was really a great program because they did negotiations, simulations, and positional bargaining, interest-based bargaining. So we were ready to go with classified to get back to our interest-based bargaining roots, and it was a really positive experience. Wrapping up the school year, we had our 7th and final teacher advisory group meeting today. We have reps from all 9 schools there. And then we have an upcoming DLAC. That's our District English Language Advisory Council coming up next week. We tried for the first time putting out a parent survey just to our parents of ELs in the top 5 languages. So English plus the top 5 languages spoken here in LASD. We're getting a really nice response. I can't read them yet. I have to get them translated, but we'll review those results in the VLAC. And then finally, just want to thank our team for their presentation tonight on the curriculum instruction side of the house. I know they've been talking about summer professional development and establishing different ways our teachers can get involved in leadership opportunities. We're going to roll out grade level leads and department leads. We're really excited about the work that they're doing.
Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate my colleague, Gary Boston. It was a great program, and you get to hear from people all over the state where the negotiations is different everywhere. And so you get to hear what other districts are dealing with, and so it's very interesting. A lot of retired superintendents, CBOs, HR people that were leading the classes, and so the tons and years of experience. So it's really good for us to be kind of like listening of how other people are doing it. So it's really great. So thank you for letting us do that. Thank you, Sandra, for letting us take the class. Sandra mentioned Dan Rich with the city of Mountain View, who works for CSCA. I really want to emphasize that it's such a great thing when you go out there and you saw people using our site for such a great community benefit, right? And the community really benefited from us having that site out there and having people when they were doing their remodeling. So I really want to thank the board for letting us do that agreement with them. Then we extended it because they were doing modernization. And they gave us a slide deck, and I can have Sandra or Marcy send that to you. The pictures were great. Everybody was so happy in their new facility. So thanks again for mentioning that. I want to acknowledge Val and Donna. When all this stuff with tariffs came out, we got really nervous. So we said, hey, let's, and I usually don't like to spend money. I was spending like crazy. So we bought 65 MacBook Pros, 240 iPads, and 700 Chromebooks for next year.
Wow.
And we bought them and have already received them because we hear other districts are like, because of tariffs and things, they can't get Chromebooks. I'm like, oh no, we're ordering it early. So we are also doing it with TK Furniture and other things. So we're ordering ahead just to stay ahead. So I really want to thank Val and Donna and the purchasing department and Elizabeth. It was really like 4 people working together. I'm like, no, order it now. And we got it all already, so which is great. So we don't have to worry. That will give us some time during the summer to get them all set up. And then if there's a couple of new things that they maybe need to order, like 50 Chromebooks, or that's a small order. So if there's a delay in the delivery or a supply chain issue, we're not being held up by that. So I just want to acknowledge that team because they really did a nice job getting it done. So, and that benefits our kids. So thanks.
That's awesome. Thanks, Eric. Sandra? Stella?
Yeah, so I attended the Empowering Parents Executive Function workshop that was held at iLearn, led by Jen Walker, and Will McGonigal from Covington was there, and other counselors were there as well. And it was really great. And I learned a lot, and like a lot of like kind of proactive ideas for my own children. I also held the first school ambassadors meeting for 2025, and there was a lot of interest and a lot of enthusiasm. And we will be meeting again on May 28th at 11:30, in case anybody new wants to come and join us. And I attended numerous events throughout the month. One I'll call out is the LAES Leadership Circle event, and some that Sandra mentioned, like the Pep Parade and the Algebra Inclusion Showcase and music concerts, and they've all been lovely.
Thank you. Yeah.
I missed all the fun events last week, but I did go to the Home and Awards dinner.
Oh,
Or
good, yes,
Hoffman.
Hoffman.
Hoffman. Home and Award is a different award, sorry, Hoffman Awards. And it was very, I know we won it last year, but it was very impressive to see things that other districts are doing to benefit their community. Then, we attended the challenge team luncheon the next day, which was also very impressive to see, Kip Blazer, who's the high school principal at Mountain View, was recognized for her work, which was super impressive, and the student that they recognized was like, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So, and they continue to do good work too, so. That's it, I think.
Thank you. Glenn?
I was a hermit. I have nothing to say.
Brian?
I also attended the LAF events, and I actually did go to the CSA ribbon cutting, so it was great to see their new facility and impressive, I think in part because of our generosity. They have an entirely new headquarters with no investment out of, like, no money from them, no money from like other public sources, like it was all donations. And it made the whole thing happen, which I thought was pretty impressive in this day and age, because it's a beautiful renovation. And then also attended curriculum council meeting. 2 math curricula have been selected that will be moving forward with pilots next year.
Yeah, as I said earlier, this meeting, May is a very busy month, so thanks to all of you for like going to all these wonderful events. I also attended the challenge team lunch and the Hoffman Awards dinner. Very excited to have been invited to the LATA rep council meeting, which I went to with Sandra and Carrie, so that was really nice to introduce myself to our Teachers Association. Excellent job at your ambassadors meeting. I attended that. Sal did a great job leading it. She has taken it over from Jessica, which is no small shoes. Right. And then this past weekend, went to attend delegate assembly. So thank you everyone for voting me onto CSBA's delegate assembly. I just wanted to say that I was appointed to the Addressing the Achievement Gap Committee. So those are the discussions that I will be involved with. That's it. Thank you. And I'd like to adjourn this meeting and reconvene to closed session.